Hi, and welcome to our monthly webinar series where we present a variety of topics that directly influence your business. My name is Charles. I'm the director of iTernal Networks. I handle the business development for them. And today we are going to do a presentation that is focused more on cybersecurity. As a heads up, we are going to meet everyone for the purpose of the webinar, but we do enjoy your participation in our polls and in the Q&A. If you have any questions, please type them into the chat box, and we'll be able to answer those towards the end of the presentation. There will be a raffle during our discussion, so please stay for the entirety of the webinar. So, during last month's webinar, we discussed a variety of headlines regarding notable companies that were hacked. As crime evolves, we must continue to be vigilant and prepare to evolve in our own way as well. Today, we'll be discussing how we can all keep ourselves protected using managed threat response. I am joined today by Michael Cannett, founder of iTernal Networks, who will conduct today's webinar, and he is joined by our guest speaker. Mike, could you please tell us more about iTernal Networks and talk a bit about our guest?
Thanks, Charles, and thanks everyone for joining. It makes me happy to see as many of you joining as have joined so far. Hopefully, we've got a few others that'll join us here a little late. We're super excited today to have Dave Fore with Sophos with us. We've been partners with Sophos for several years now. They're a great partner. iTernal Networks, next month, we're going to hit our 12-year mark in business here in the state of Nevada. So we're super excited for that. We started in 2009. And our goal is to provide, excellent IT support and cybersecurity for businesses within the state of Nevada. So once again, I'm excited to have Dave Fore. He's our rep with Sophos. He can give a little more introduction and his background. He's extremely knowledgeable. We rely on him and his team whenever questions come up that we don't know. We rely on them. Their products are amazing. They're top in the industry. In fact, I think I just saw last week a whole bunch more awards just rolled in for the best security products in the industry for Sophos. So congrats to Sophos on that. And Dave, with that, I'll turn the time over to you.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Can you hear me okay? Awesome. All right, I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to take you through a little bit about MTR and why MTR, why people are talking about this industry, what they're talking about with respect to the types of threats that are coming in and how they're handling it. And I think there's going to be a few pop-up questions, poll questions that go along, kind of support what we're talking about today. So I'm going to talk to you about, why should we be talking about this in general? Why are we talking about it? And what options you have as a business owner or business principal and somebody making the decisions to protect businesses. What are your choices? We're going to talk about managed detection and response versus managed threat response, which is the Sophos solution, and why we believe what we're doing is a better one. And then we're going to leave some time at the end for questions. So why now? I mean, why are we having this conversation? Really, all you have to do is watch the news to understand why. It's all over the place. It depends on SolarWinds. I think that big hack happened in January. The Microsoft Exchange one was called Hafnium. That was March. Colonial Pipeline we all heard about. I don't probably nobody lives on the East Coast, but those of us out here weren't really affected by the gas supply problems. But geez, the whole Eastern Sea Line was, and it certainly made a lot of news. JBS Meatpackers, more recently the Kaseya one, which you may or may not have heard as much about, but certainly Michael and his peers in the MSP space, they definitely heard it because that's one of the tools that service providers use to support their customers. So every day it seems like there's a new thing. Our team right now is feverishly working with customers on a brand new one that hit this week or late last week that they're working on. So I haven't even had time to add that to the slide yet. But there's a lot of stuff going on that way. We're also hearing about a lot of compliance. So depending on the industry that you're in, you may or may not learn or face or hear about some requirements that you have in the future. I have a large car dealership in Vegas that is an Audi dealer, and they have to have a managed detection and response solution in place to remain compliant with Audi's privileges. If you think about it, if a car dealer gets hit, gets breached, that might make local news because it's a local car dealer. But if it's an Audi dealership, then it's Audi data, then that becomes a bigger issue for them. So they're trying to protect their brands. Same thing with Chevron. I have a large gas station company in town in Vegas that is a customer, and they are a Chevron dealer, and they have to have one in place. The last one is pervasive. I mean, this one covers everybody, and that's my little symbol for cyber insurance. We're starting to hear stories and see evidence of insurance companies, cyber insurance companies, requiring different layers of endpoint protection or network protection, specifically in some cases managed detection or response, it has said. So there was a large hospital customer of ours that went to renew their cyber insurance in Washington, and they were told, not unless you have a managed detection or response service in place, and it has to have humans, it has to be human backed, not just computer intelligence or AI backed. So there's a lot of reasons to be talking about this and to really understand that it's the time. The time is now. This is not next gen technology. This is not a thing we should think about in the future. This is something you should be talking about now. Just to further with some more facts, 51% of organizations in 2020 reported they were hit with ransomware. Ransomware payments have tripled year over year. There's just insane numbers. I heard about a hospital recently that had a $10 million ransom demand, and that was if they paid in the first 10 days. If it went past 10 days, which they did because they refused to pay, it went up to $20 million. So, the numbers are getting that. Now that's a big hospital, but they're commensurate with organizations of smaller size in a lot of cases as well. The breach report from Verizon last year said the number one hacking breach type was hacking, and that's human. That involves humans, and stolen credentials were the biggest piece. So the bad guys are getting into your networks. They're finding your credentials, your login credentials, and they are compromising you from the inside essentially. And that's a very hard thing to stop. 83% of organizations plan to spend more money on detection and response technologies, but a lot of that has to do with, I said technologies and people in a lot of cases. A lot of that has to do with recruiting the right kind of people to manage those technologies. And right now that's a huge challenge. And, Sophos faces that because we hire security people all the time for our SOC that we'll talk about, the Security Operations Center that manages this. But that's a really tough thing if you do have headcount and think you're going to go hire people, it's really challenging to find quality security people right now because the demand is high and the supply is low. And has nothing to do with chips in this case, like everything else in the world. There's, during COVID specifically, the FBI reported that this was, mid to late last year, they were seeing a 4x increase in cybercrime. So, just because people were going home or not going into an office didn't mean things were getting better. In fact, it meant things were harder for IT folks to deal with, and IT organizations with iTernal, it's challenging for them when your employees are at home, more so than if they're in a single location in a lot of cases. If you're a small business, small organization, that does not mean you're safe. Please erase that thought from your head, because it is quite the opposite. In fact, we're seeing an increase in targets there because, frankly, the bad guys know that the mindset of small business people a lot of times, and medium-sized business people, is, we're not Target. We're not Colonial Pipeline. We don't control the gas supply for the Eastern Seaboard, so we're okay. No, not true. They know that because of that, a lot of times people haven't invested the same amount of time and energy into protecting the organization. So it makes you a softer target, which means it's easier for you to hit. And frankly, they also find that small businesses pay ransoms more regularly at a higher level than larger businesses do, because large companies are going to bring in IR firms, incident response firms, to help them out. So it's definitely something that everyone needs to worry about. The FBI and the Department of Justice are beginning to treat ransomware attacks similarly to terrorism. So that's become really big. Everybody's taking this very seriously. And the last point is, hopefully everybody knows who that is. Hackers love The Weeknd, not that Weeknd, not the singer. Maybe they love him too, I don't know. But, the attacks that we're seeing happen on Friday at about 5 or 6 p.m. in whatever time zone a business is in, an organization's in, and they start slowing down on Monday morning at 5 or 6 a.m., whatever time zone you're in. The hackers know, the bad guys know where you live. They know what time zone you're in. They know when you're less likely to be paying attention. And if you look at the trend of these big attacks that you read about, You'll see a lot of them started over the weekend or on a holiday, and that's become really, really over the past many years. That's become a bigger target for people. Up till now, I'm talking about things that affect you, right? But Michael and Charles and team, they have skin in this game too. They are your IT department. They are the guys who are your security team. They're trying to help you out, and they are now under the gun. Louisiana in February of this year is the first state in the union that passed a law that holds MSPs liable, financially responsible for breaches that occur in their customer base. So, they're trying to help you out because they're good security people. They know that it's important. They know that the environment changes all the time. Security is utmost importance to these guys. But now they're going to be held financially responsible for protecting you. And so it gives them it gives them a lot more skin in the game. And frankly, from a security vendor standpoint, we kind of saw this coming, that this was going to be a thing. And so we're trying to help our partners and our customers and their customers be able to do the right things in a way that's fiscally responsible for everybody. So do you upgrade or do you not upgrade? Well, let's go through some things that I hear all the time. Well, first of all, security upgrades are definitely needed. I just showed you all the proof points, or a lot of proof points on that. Human-led attacks require a human-led defense. That's really important for us. I say that phrase all the time, and it's never been truer. Mention that the number one cause of breaches is hacking, which is, again, human-led attacks. And companies that haven't upgraded in security in the past 2 years should definitely be worried. I have sat across the table face-to-face with chief information security officers and directors of security and organizations that have said, I've been doing things the same way for 10 years and I think I got it under control. And I'm like, well, you can think that, and that doesn't mean you're not smart. But when something changes as rapidly as the bad guy side of the security environment, the good guy side has to change that rapidly as well. They are always evolving their techniques and tactics, the ways that they're coming after you. They're learning new things. They're looking at our defenses and trying to find ways around them. And then, of course, we see what they do and we create new defenses. And it's this cat and mouse game that happens. So you always have to be vigilant, and you always have to be taking a look at the security environment and making sure that you're adjusting yours to have the best chance to prevent something bad from happening. What about the fallout from a breach? The cost to remediate is usually underestimated by organizations. Downtime is a killer. This is one, I literally just had this conversation with a large urgent care company here in Arizona, and they said that, I was talking to their VP of IT, and he said, hey, we've got awesome backups. So I can, my downtime is minimal. I told my CEO, we can be restored in 4 hours. And I was like, that's great if that happens to one PC. But what happens if all 2,000 of your PCs get ransomed? And he was like, well, that's going to take a lot longer than 4 hours. And I said, yeah, it is. And the way that ransomware works today is Colonial Pipeline. That wasn't 50 of their computers that got hit, guys. That was all of them. Like, literally, it took them down. And you can't restore if a PC is encrypted, because you can't get into the PC till you get into the PC, till you either pay the ransom or you re-image the machine, and that takes time. And if it's a lot of computers, and I know you guys don't have 2,000 computers, most of you, I get it. Exact same thing happens on scale. I have another MSP provider here in Arizona, not unlike iTernal, and they have a doctor's office customer that had 6 computers. That was it, 6. I think it was like 2 docs and a few support staff. They had 6 PCs in the practice. All 6 of them got ransomed at one time. They were shut down for 3 days. They couldn't see patients. They couldn't update medical records. You can't get to your cloud-based medical record system unless you have a computer. So, the impact of, as I said before, the big guys versus the little guys, it's as painful to you as it is, as Colonial Pipeline was to Colonial, when you can't do your job, when you can't run your business, your organization. So downtime is really something that a lot of people don't consider and don't think about the ramifications of. And then the third thing on that is reputation. Countless stories of customers, like your customers, leaving you, not coming back, not doing business with you in the future because they feel like you didn't protect them or their data specifically. I mentioned cyber insurance earlier and said I was going to get back to that. This was kind of eye-opening to us. The SolarWinds attack I mentioned that happened in January was perpetrated by Russia. We've shown that. The Halfdium attack, which is the Microsoft Exchange, if any of you have on-prem Exchange still, if you were potentially subject to that, that was perpetrated by China. Cyber insurance policies have acts of war are excluded. And now because nation states are launching these attacks, they're claiming that's an act of war and thereby not eligible under their insurance policy. So people, our customers some people we know, customers we work with, were denied claims because of that by their cyber insurance company. So it did them no good to have the cyber insurance when the bad thing actually happened. So be aware of that. That's another big change. So I give you a lot of reasons why you should do this. So why not? What do I hear most often from customers or from MSPs like Michael that I work with? And look, nobody likes to have a higher price. I get that. That's a general human reaction, as we all react badly to price increases. This is not adding new technology and adding new tools to your cyber defense arsenal. It's not a price increase for the sake of price increase. New tools are going to cost a little more, but the cost of not doing anything is much greater than the cost of doing something. I liken it to, healthcare, right? I'm going to get the expression wrong. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. I think I got it right that time. I say it all the time, and I think I always screw it up. But an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Truer statement has never been said about security. If you put the right prevention methods in place and tools and techniques and services in place in the beginning, the cure, like a vaccine, it may not prevent you from getting hit. Nothing is 100% in the security world. Nothing is 100% in the virus world. But if you don't have to go to the hospital for a week, that's a hell of a lot better than if you are in ICU for a week. That is the thing that we talk to customers about all the time. And I was talking to Michael about it earlier. It's a trite and overused phrase these days in the industry, but it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And so what we are trying to do is prevent that. So the general price increase or the small price increase that you pay for the prevention is way less than what you pay for the cure. And then the other thing is what we have is good enough. And I think that is kind of addressed by the top bullet that says companies haven't upgraded in 2 years. It's not good enough anymore. There's no such thing as good enough. We're doing everything we possibly can to stave off this attack. And if we do get one, we want to have the least impact possible. That's the solution. That's the right way to talk about these breaches. So, those are some things we hear that customers kind of throw up objections for. But frankly, everything else that I've talked up to this point should kind of tell you otherwise. So what are your options? You can keep the status quo. We just talked about that, time bomb. You can build your own SOC. Nobody does that. I mean, really, really big organizations do. I kind of price this out as a 50-person organization might spend for tools. The tools and stuff aren't exorbitantly expensive. It's the people. If you were going to try to have a security person, I've literally had people say, I'm going to just hire another person. I'm like, okay, well then you got an 8 to 5er, no holidays, no weekends, no nights. Do you turn your network off when you go home? No, you don't. Your network is still running. So to build a SOC, it's just silly. You're not going to, it doesn't happen in the small and mid-market space that I work with every day and that Michael works with. It's just not feasible. Leveraging an MDR service like our managed threat response is definitely an answer. I put our numbers up here. For an organization of that size, and this is MSRP. This is the highest kind of number side. For our tool set and our MTR service, you're looking at spending a fraction of the cost as you would trying to do something on your own, or even think about hiring an FTE, a full-time equivalent, right? A full-time employee. No way you're getting one for $13,000. So it's much more affordable to just leverage the solution of something like managed threat response. So let's talk about what that is. And really it comes down to expertise. We include in our managed threat response, and those of you who are iTernal customers already have InterceptX, and many, if not most or all of you have XG firewalls at this point too, probably. Those are the two products that our service is contingent upon, is leveraging to do the work. These are protection technologies to keep bad things from happening. Then we layer on some additional tool sets, EDR and XDR, which stands for endpoint detection and response and extended detection and response. These are the tools that somebody, whether it's you, if you're a DIYer, would use to do your own threat hunts and investigation. Of course, you need the expertise to be able to do that. Or you turn to an MTR solution where it's done for you. So we then have our security operations center in Indianapolis, the folks that are Sophos badged working with Sophos products, they use the EDR and XDR tool set to look for indicators of compromise or attack in your network and jump on them immediately to put the fire out. And for those of you who choose not to do this, I describe this as our fire prevention service, MTR. We are also a fire department. We can meet you at the scene of the accident, of the fire, and we can help you put the fire out. But as I mentioned on the last slide, it's a heck of a lot cheaper to prevent the fire in the first place than to have the fire put out. Because by the way, after you have the fire put out, you probably end up putting better fire prevention methods in place anyway. You just paid a lot more money to do it and to learn the lesson. So what's the difference in MTR and as I mentioned, I refer to it as our fire prevention service. We're looking for lightning strikes. We're looking for burning embers that somebody didn't put out a fire completely in the forest, and we're sending a team out to squash those, put them out real quickly before they blow into a full-blown fire. Rapid response, that's what our R stands for. Our rapid response IR service is a fire department, and we absolutely can and do and will help organizations of any size that are in the middle of being owned right now. So what does MTR use? We take the best of both, visibility from the network, both at the network edge, the firewall side of things, and also on the endpoint side of things. We are looking at all the things that we can and employing the information that we receive from the firewall and from the InterceptX, and we are making decisions for you. We're investigating and we're making decisions for you by doing things like hunting for and validating threats. The team that manages this, they look at the scope and severity of threats and decide which ones need to, which ones can we squash at the AI machine learning level and which ones need to bubble up to humans, because at some point machine intelligence falls short. We apply business context to validate the threats. We provide actionable advice. And when we talk about providing actionable advice, this is what most services offer. It is we refer to this in the industry as eyes on glass, right? We are the experts. We're watching the computer. We're watching for things to happen. We're monitoring you. And when we see something happen, we notify you. And notify is literally, in the case of all of you who are customers of iTernal, we're calling Michael's team. And we're going, hey, Michael, sorry it's 2 a.m. on Saturday. I know you were trying to get some sleep, but this thing is happening. We saw something. We're eyes on glass. We saw something. We've decided it's bad. We know how to fix it. Grab your laptop. We're going to walk you through the steps. And Mike is going click, 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 while you all are sleeping safely. I know it doesn't impact you, but it certainly impacts him and his team and his ability to service you guys in a timely fashion, because we have to get him on the phone. We have to wake him up. He has to grab his laptop. Meantime, seconds matter. All this stuff is spreading, right? Some groups collaborate with Michael, but what we do is we have the ability to say, Michael, your customers are trusting you and you're trusting us as the service. Just tell us to take care of it. We told you it's our product, it's our guys and gals in our SOC, it's our intelligence, it's our threat hunters, it's our data scientists, it's our labs experts, it's our incident responders. I mean, we've got all these pieces that are unique in the industry, because very few, if any, other of our competitors have the full breadth of labs and intelligence and data science and response capabilities that we have. But Michael basically says, guys, if you see a thing that you know is bad and you know how to fix it, don't call me, just do it. Disrupt, contain, neutralize that incident. Make sure that it is knocked out and that you get the bad guys out of my customer's environment. So we're not only eyes on glass at Sophos, we are also hands on keyboard. And that is a really important the number one differentiator in this service versus others in the industry is that we have the technology, we have the expertise to be able to perform that remediation for you. So we give the SOC gets full visibility and they have full remediation capabilities. It's not just call your partner, wake him up, and have him start working on something. So hopefully that resonates. That's a really important piece. 206. This is a big number. I put it on here because this is the average number of days, not hours, days, according to the Verizon Security Breach Report last year, that bad guys, adversaries, live in your network before they are discovered. By the way, they are often discovered because they're done. They've got everything they want from you. They've stolen all the data they can steal. And I liken it to a house burglary. Like, bad guys came in your house and they've been here for a week while you were on vacation, and they've taken all your stuff. Like, the house is empty. And as they're leaving, they're like, we should just change the locks on the front door and we'll charge them to get the keys. That's what ransomware is today in a lot of cases. They've gone in, they've taken all the data they want, and as they're leaving, it's kind of a little middle finger to you, like, ha, we got you, and you can pay us to get into your systems again. So how does Sophos perform? Well, our average time to detection is 2 minutes. We see things very, very quickly because of the systems that we have in place and the queries that we're doing regularly to look for stuff. Our average response time is about 20 minutes. That's us going, okay, we saw something, now we're starting to act on how to fix it because we've done the analysis in those 20 minutes. And our average response time we publish has been 60 minutes, but I had to cross that out because I got an update in the rolling last 12 months, we're at about 40 minutes. So from detection to you're fully clean and everything's safe, and Michael has a report in his inbox in minutes or hours, depending on how long the report is, they have to write up because he gets a detailed report of this that he can share, right, is 40 minutes. That is extremely fast in the industry. I've talked to customers who have other services where they notify, and they're like, oh man, if I'm in a meeting for an hour, I can't even pick up the phone for the first hour, much less start typing based on what they're telling me to do. So we're very, very quick. So just to kind of summarize the main points that we've hit on, I talked about this a lot because it's the biggest number one reason that we earn new customers is because of our full remediation capabilities. The fact that we're not just going to notify, that we're going to take care of it. You are going to be in the best shape with us because when we see it, we have the expertise to figure it out. We know how to fix it. We do fix it, and we do it very, very quickly. And speed is the second piece. I just showed you that slide and spent some time on that. This one I didn't really cover, but this is kind of a cherry on top. I mentioned to you, and I showed you the firefighter image, right? We have rapid response, our firefighter team. We are so confident in this service. I said earlier, nothing's 100% security. We are so confident in our service that if a forest fire breaks out while we're on watch, we own it. And we send out the firefighter team, and they put the fire out for you, and it doesn't cost you anything. There's no some of my competitors, you pay retainers in case that happens, which is weird to me. Or you have to buy blocks of hours. Many of my competitors don't even have a firefighter team. Literally, they have to refer you to the firefighter team. Like, no, we've got some buddies. We got a partner over here that does it, and you can pay them to fix the thing that we missed. In our case, if we miss it, we own it. We pay for it, not on you. And then lastly, those of you, and I think, again, if you're already existing iTernal customers, this is easy. When you tell Michael, oh my God, Michael, that was compelling, I need this. He literally goes into your account, clicks a button, and all of your computers and servers will download the necessary things they need automatically, and you're in. We got you. Like, we're eyes on glass and hands on keyboards working on your behalf. So the upgrade process is not intrusive at all. There's no time Michael's got to schedule with you to do a deployment of anything because it just does. Each of the machines does it on their own. So those are the things I want to leave you with. Those are the reasons that we win. Honestly, and they're the reasons that, I guess I could have had one of the objections on that slide earlier. Why not? The time to find the time to do the deployment, to get the things rolled out, to install the things, all of that goes away. It's poof because there isn't any. It's very, very simple. I don't know how, Charles, you want to do questions, but I'll open it up to if anybody has questions for me or you guys or whatever.
Actually, thank you by the way for that presentation. Actually, before we go into questions, there's a couple things I want to do. During your presentation, we decided to come up with a poll question for our audience. If we can go ahead and display that. Awesome. So the question is, do you have a cyber incident response plan? As I begin answering, do you want to kind of go over that and what that means?
That's a great question. I said it earlier. It's not a matter of if; it's a matter of when. So, what do you guys have? What is your plan? When I get hit, how am I going to respond? If you don't have a plan, don't feel bad. You're among the majority. Everybody says they don't want to get hit. Everybody says they know it'll be a pain, but most companies don't really plan for it or don't plan for it well. And there's often not a good plan because you don't know how extensive it's going to be. But I mean, I would tell you that imagine the worst case scenario. All 6 of your PCs, all 50, all 200, whatever size you are, all of your computers effectively get ransomed at one time. That is not hypothetical. That is not theoretical. That is real world today. I've seen it 50 times in the past 2 years. If that happens to you, what are you going to do? Who are you going to call? How do you respond to that? If you call Michael, he's going to call us, and we're going to get the fire department on the phone with you. I know that, but that would be a plan. But a better plan is, I don't want to get to that phase. How about I prevent it? Right.
That's right.
It's a leading question, but it's a fair one. I mean, it's a fair question. It's something we ask customers every single day.
So it's interesting. So 17% said yes, they have a plan. 17% said yes, but they need to update it, and the remainder don't have one, or they're not sure if they have one. So definitely sounds like the majority have some work to do to build a plan and how they want to respond in the case of a cyber incident.
Yep. We have a couple questions from the audience as well, but before we get to that, I do want to go over our raffle winner. So our raffle winner today is Kevin Cosgrove. So we will be reaching out to you, Kevin, so you can receive your prize. So now let's go to some questions. Real quickly, let's go to our first one. It came in through the chat. So do you also cover SIM card hacking or monitoring of phones?
We have a separate product. We have a product for phones for iOS and Android called Sophos Mobile. That is a separate license. It is not today. So yes, we protect. We have a Intercept X for mobile. It's called. So we have Intercept X for phones. That does not feed into the MTR solution today, into the SOC, but it's coming. Our primary concern at first was the endpoints, the servers, the PCs, the servers, and the firewalls, and servers. And if anybody's using AWS or Azure, if you have stuff up there, we pull in from our Cloud Optics solution as well, which is helping secure those. Mobile is coming, and I think it's second half of this year. Well, we're in the second half of this year, second half of our fiscal, which ends in March. I think it's in the next 6 to 9 months, I believe. I'll check on that, but it's definitely coming because all of our products will report into MTR eventually. But we can certainly help you with secure and manage those today.
Yeah, we may want to do a follow-up, maybe potentially a webinar in the future regarding this mobile device management and how we can help them keep those devices protected. So That's actually a really good question. Thank you. We also have another question here. Does MTR integrate with Office 365 or other cloud services?
Ooh, that's a fabulous question. I removed the slide because I was like, yeah, I should have kept that in. I was just trying to get it. I was trying to pair you guys don't know me, Michael does, but it's hard for me to talk for 30 minutes. I don't think I've ever done it in my life. That was really fast for me. I need an hour, man. Yeah. So yes, good question. In fact, next month we're supposed to be releasing it's changed names, by the way. It is now M365. But we're going to be releasing our sensor for M365 that has really cool. I mean, there's a laundry list of things that we'll be able to detect on things like impossible logins. Like, hey, Michael Cannett logged in from Reno, but also China at 2 seconds apart. I don't think so. We'll be able to see stuff in SharePoint, like a user just deleted 1,000 files or 100 files, whatever thresholds, right? A large amount of files, and we're like, whoa, wait a minute. We'll be able to see stuff from Outlook, like Charles's account just sent out 500 emails at once, in a single swoop. Like, that's not normal. So yeah, we'll be able to see all kinds of stuff in M365 that's going to help us with the determinations and detections as well. So great question, and that will be included in the MTR Advanced, Michael. I'm assuming that's what you would roll out at that level. That will be included in any connectors that we bring in for any other products like that will be included.
Awesome. Looking forward to that. I have a question for you. So I saw something earlier in your presentation that was talking about cyber insurance for when you might have a hack from a terrorist group and they say it's a terrorist attack, they may not cover it. So what do you do? Is there a different type of insurance that you get? Or is there a terrorist insurance plan or something like that? How does that work?
Well, Saturday Night Live had a great skit about robot attack insurance years ago. That just reminded me of that. Terrorist insurance. No, I don't know. I've never heard of terrorist insurance. Are you in a terrorist floodplain, maybe?
Yeah, that's right.
I don't know, man. It's interesting. The insurance world is and how it's relating to cyber these days. We just hired at Sophos a senior director level person whose responsibility it is he comes from the insurance world, and he's going to work with insurance companies and talk about how policies are changing and how solutions like MTR, if your customers, if you prescribe MTR either via carrot or stick, right? You're all familiar with the Allstate and Geico, and everybody now has some kind of thing you install in your car, and if you drive safely, you get a better rate, right? Super smart. Let's give people carrots for that. In some cases, the hospital in Washington experienced a stick. They said, we're not letting you be a customer of ours unless you have MTR in place. I told Michael earlier, I have partners, guys like Michael, MSP partners, that have said that to customers. Like, you're not going to be my customer if you don't buy this, because of the Louisiana law, which is going to come to Nevada. It's going to come everywhere. But I don't know of any insurance where you could say, I'll pay more if you'll cover me against a Russia-based attack. Because how do I know it's going to be Russia that did it, right? Nobody knew that was going to happen. So I've never seen it. Nobody's ever asked. I think it's a great question. Is there a rider that they add? They're like, here, we'll give you the terrorist rider. Like, it would cost a lot because that's on the rise too. Yep. And those attacks are huge. I mean, those were big attacks. Like, that wasn't Colonial Pipeline was one company. Yeah. Hafnium, the Microsoft Exchange thing, hit anybody that had Exchange, and SolarWinds hit anybody, which is basically everybody that has Solar. I mean, Sophos, we use SolarWinds. Like, our guys had to go look at our stuff and see if we were vulnerable, right? So those are big, broad attacks, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So on the cyber insurance question, that's a great question. In October, we're actually going to have a cyber insurance partner on for our webinar in October. So join us then and get your cyber insurance questions answered a little bit more detailed.
With a straight face, I want Charles to ask him about the terrorist writer.
Yeah. I will. All right, so thank you for everyone for joining us. You will be receiving an email for a follow-up consultation, as well as a link to this recording. If you have any questions about this topic or want advice about implementing a cybersecurity solution, you can follow the link in that email to book a strategy session. So as Mike was saying earlier, next month we will have Dave back again, along with our partners at Disaster Recovery, DataStream, who handles cyber insurance, and Kaseya, who handles a lot of our dark web and compliance. So it'll be a great opportunity for you all to meet some of the best in cybersecurity, and I hope to see you guys then. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.